All right, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Hey dumpster divers, and welcome back to another new episode of Can I Be Honest With You? I love being a hater. So, as you guys know, I do this video every year. I've been doing it for the past 5 years. It started in 2020. We're about half a decade in of tradition. This is where I ask you guys on multiple platforms what you feel like were the worst dolls of the year. Keep it around like 20. We do some honorable mentions. And so I just wanted to reminisce with you guys and look back on the year of 2025 and just realize, holy shit, what a bunch of crap. This is the top 20 worst dolls of 2025 as voted by you guys. And number 20 is Golden Dream Christy, the reproduction doll. And one of the reasons I think that she was kind of on people's mind is because she wasn't like a true reproduction. They gave her like a different hair texture, a lot more hair, which was great. The golden suit situation is like leaning more orange and less bronze, like the original. Obviously, it has the beautiful Steffi face sculpt and everything, and she's just a gorgeous doll overall. But the outfit was done weird too, and I remember asking a certain Mattel designer who probably doesn't want me saying their name why the hell she kind of had like that and like her arms and everything, and it was like modesty standards, which for an adult collector doll that's based off of a Playline doll, it's kind of bullshit. So I do feel like Golden Dream Christy is on this list just because she wasn't like a true reproduction doll. She was definitely like a reimagining of a classic beloved doll. Number 19 is somebody who was on my list this year, and that is the 12 Days of Halloween Barbie doll, the $160 witch Barbie that came with a cat suit. Gorgeous. I love the red hair. Obviously, I love the vintage face sculpt, the vinyl like body and everything, very reminiscent of the very first Barbies. But she was so goddamn expensive, and like the color palette's great. The red hair, the purple, and the black, I think it all works together well. Love the little cat suit. October, if you remember this year, was just insane with the amount of releases. Like, I couldn't keep up. And by the time she was coming around, I was like, $160 more. I can't do it. People who have got her, I feel like have loved her. They said there's something weird going on with her hat. And that's like the only complaint I've heard about other than the price point. So I can see why she's a little bit higher on the least favorites list. But I do know that people who bought her eventually did enjoy her. Oh my God, yeah. Number 18. You guys know, if you've been watching the channel for a while, I'm not like the most AG, like American Girl invested person, but these AG Sisters dolls where they look like they bite, those were popping up a little bit on the list. Just people being like the AG Sisters just in general, the way they look and everything. And I will say, compared to like the Welly Wishers or whatever, which I think, is that what they're replacing? I don't know. Yeah, they look mean. They look like, I don't know how that face passed multiple like market researches and like standards departments, and like, I don't know, but somebody was really like, sure, let's make a face that looks like that. All right, and then we have number 17, the Monster High Buried Secrets doll. Dolls, so it comes up a lot when I'm asking for suggestions for this list, where it'll be like fashionistas and a bunch of other Playline stuff that's also budget friendly, and it's supposed to be budget dolls, but I try not to include them in the list because it's kind of like, well, duh, you know, they're budget dolls, they're not going to have a ton going into them. But these Monster High Buried Secrets dolls kept coming up a lot, and as I'm looking at them, they are kind of like unique in the budget line, where they're kind of skirting the non-budget thing, because I think they're like 17, 18-ish dollars, because, you know, they have the little like Buried Secrets gimmick, but they also have like weird articulation and weird, like, there's some egregiousness to these being budget dolls, but the price that they are, it's like kind of budget, but it's not, you know? So they're just very interesting, and they did show up a lot. But I mostly put them on here as a reminder that I usually don't talk about like budget stuff and fashionistas and other dolls like that for this video, because, you know, it's a $10 doll usually. These being $18 and looking the way that they do, I get it. All right, 16 is one I was kind of bummed out about too, because I heard that they were on the horizon and then they were actually going to happen, and that's the LOL OMG Powerpuff Girls dolls. Like, they're fine, and I think LOL OMG and the LOL like mini balls and stuff, I think those are excellent. It's a collaboration that makes like so much sense. But I feel the same way too, where it's like, I don't know, like the outfits are different. I don't know. I was kind of hoping it'd be more like the cartoon, even if it was super basic and everything. They could have done a little bit more to add to it, but like the outfits they chose, obviously it's just like recycled pieces, which makes sense economically from like a business standpoint. That you take some LOL OMG fabrics, silhouettes, accessories, everything that already exists, and then just use those templates on a new doll. It makes sense. But yeah, I don't know what I was hoping for, but I was hoping for more. The little minis though, I think they knocked it out of the park. So I'd give them like a 50-50 on this collaboration. It makes sense, and the execution I feel like could have gone better. Okay, number 15 is one I totally agree with, and that is the Barbie Fashion Model Collection like revival dolls that came out this year. I think we got number 3 and number 4 this year. Number 3 being the like periwinkle petticoat girl, which I have, and then the most recent one, the number 4, I can't even remember what her name was. Like, nobody said anything or knew what it was until they got the doll. I'll put it in later. They're not doing anything for me. I've said this many times, many iterations. Ever since Robert Best came back with the Barbie Model Fashion Collection dolls, they haven't felt like Barbie Fashion Model Collection dolls. They just feel like, you know, they're made of silkstone. And it's the articulated bodies, which I know people are like 50-50 on with the Barbie Fashion Model Collection dolls anyway. In fact, with this number 4, when we saw sneak previews of her, because I knew it was going to be a Barbie Fashion Model doll because she was using the same kind of shoes that I've only seen on Barbie Fashion Model Collection dolls. And they were like pink, which was so cute. A lot of people are like, ooh, I wonder if we're going back to the old body, which I don't know why Mattel would. I don't know. It would be cool though. It'd be a nice little fun throwback, but yeah. So I get it. I get why they're on the list. They just don't have that oomph that they used to. Although this number 4 one, she's getting there. Number 14 is the Brooklyn fan vote Barbie style doll and everything. And I think it's just because compared to the sketch and the execution and everything, she just doesn't feel the same. Because the fabric, the way it was kind of like drawn in the initial sketch, was a little bit more sheer, a little bit more boho and everything. And then on Brooklyn, I think with like the made to move body, the Brooklyn face, obviously, and the heft of the fabric, it just kind of gives like almost playline-y a little bit. Just like a little bit amplified playline, but yeah, still playline nonetheless. I've seen the Brooklyn face be done where she looks collector, like last year with those black and white 65th anniversary Barbie dolls, that Brooklyn with the blue eyeshadow that looks like Zendaya. I think that's a very collector Brooklyn, so I know she can get there. But this one just seemed a little more playline-y. Number 13 is kind of weird, but he kept showing up, and that is the Ken Couture number 2 RuPaul doll. I think he's fine. I think the only reason I didn't get him is because he was really expensive at the time of release versus like my funds and everything. But I think he's handsome. I love that he's bald. I think he looks really good, and I like the ombre clothing with the like plastic see-through jacket. I think that's really cool. Obviously when it's Ken, they're like blue, but those would be some fun pieces if you are a male doll collector to have in your collection. He does look like RuPaul in But I'm a Cheerleader, which I do think is funny. And yeah, I don't know. I think it was because he was like $100 or something, and he just doesn't. There's a lot of like Mattel dolls nowadays that just don't feel like their price point. Number 12, which I forgot about like this whole first half of the year, which is why I'm glad I do this video with you guys and get these questions answered. And that's any of those live action Snow White dolls, the Disney Store, Mattel, any of them. A lot of those were like, yeah, no thanks. And it's because we only got like 4 dolls total, and every single one was expensive. From the Disney Store, we only got the expensive 17-inch dolls. Disney Store, when they do a live action face, they don't typically do a good job. And then Mattel, obviously, when they do a live action face, they do really well. I loved that Snow White. I thought she was so cute. I loved the insane amount of detail on her dress and everything that came out of fucking nowhere from Mattel. Like, she had jacquard patterns and like layers upon layers and lining and everything. Strings, embellishments, like all this stuff. A new custom stand and like multiple accessories like birds and an apple and everything and a cape. Mattel hasn't given us that much for $75 in a long time, but I can see why people weren't into the live action Snow White movie necessarily anyway, let alone the dolls. The only ones you could get are either $75 or like $130. That's expensive. They should have done at least one Playline Queen and Playline Snow White like they did for Ursula and Ariel for their live action dolls. I think that might have helped their case a little bit more, but yeah, nobody was really feeling the Snow White movie. Anyway, I watched it one day while I was at my old job. It was cute. It wasn't awful. I don't hate it. But I mean, anything with that Zionist Gal Gadot, and I'm good. I don't need to watch it or give them money. Oh, number 11 for the least favorites of 2025 is just Rainbow High in general, because a lot of people are like slime legs, glitter legs, like those little mogwai nasty looking babies, stuff like that. And I get it. There are some Rainbow High dolls I got this year that I absolutely loved. I got that Amaya with the rainbow closet. I think she's so freaking adorable. Because one thing Rainbow High may be doing, they may be doing some stupid dumbass legs and they may be getting rid of articulation, but they're still doing faces. Like, they've got some gorgeous faces still. So I love Rainbow High, but I get it. It's a far cry from what it used to be up until now. But as you can see behind me, they're my girls. All right, now we're getting into the top 10 worst of 2025, and number 10 is going to be the Kid Super Doll Ken. I have no opinions on either way. I didn't get them because the price point, like I said, at the time was insane, and the fascinator for that doll is a jacket, which it was a cool jacket. I like that it had old Barbie and old Ken on it. That's cute. And then I like that the designer was like, no, I want to be a Ken doll. And basically just made themselves as a Ken doll, long hair, curly, which is great. You know, we don't get a lot of super long hair Ken dolls, but male dolls aren't always like people's first choice in doll collecting, which I've noticed as a male doll collector. I love male dolls as well. So, but yeah, I've noticed like it's a little easier for me to get my hands on a male doll than it is on maybe their counterpart. I'm just saying I get it, but I was very neutral on him. Okay, so number 9 was a lot of like the Wicked dolls with printed on clothing. And I think the best way to represent that is this super egregious Shiz sleepover playset where, yeah, it's literally like printed on recycled dolls that I don't think sold from the first Wicked movie up until, yeah, now. But yeah, this Shiz sleepover set is just, it's very Mattel. It's very what you'd expect Mattel to do nowadays. Obviously not details and embellishments on dolls made for literally one of the most anticipated movies of the year. Why would we do that? Okay, so she came up a lot, which is crazy because I like her. So it's just always funny to see like what the doll community versus me and like everything else and how that all like interconnects. But that is number 8, the Bratz Holiday Chloe Frosty doll. I think she's cool. I think she's editorial. I think she looks like Mia Goth almost. Like there's just something so high fashion about her, and I think a lot of people didn't like the weird disconnect of the skirt and then like the snow drift slope or whatever is going on at the bottom. I can see like she is a little out there for a doll, and I know a lot of doll collectors, myself included, are like, God, why don't they ever give us anything fun and new and exciting? And then when they do, we're like, oh, no, I was lying. I just wanted like a blonde Barbie in a pink dress. Just kidding. And I bring that up because I was just thinking about who's that new Day to Night Barbie from Andrew Mukamel? I don't know how you say their name. Where it's kind of a chunky, disconnected outfit. I think it's a little lazy and playline, honestly, but she's a blonde Barbie in pink with a superstar face sculpt, so people went crazy. I bought her. So you know, we like what we're comfortable with. Okay, number 7 is, this came up a lot, and that's those Barbie Basics dolls with the wig kits. Obviously, wigs on a doll and doing that scale and everything. I think these are definitely better than the helmets they did for Creatable World, but I think a lot of people, once they got them in person, it was just a different experience than what you thought you were gonna get. I love that they tried to bring back the Barbie Basics. I think they should have literally done a 1-to-1. I know people love the made to move bodies, and maybe we could have kept that, but I do really think that they should have brought it back full force where the outfits were basic but they were just really good silhouettes, and then accessory packs, shoes, belts, stationery, like just everything like that. And I think they could have had a little bit more lasting power. But the Barbie Basics are basically just the looks dolls with like a head peg that makes it a little easier for the heads to come off and swap around. We love Bill Groening, rest in peace. You know, he's not dead, but he's on a different journey. Okay, number 6 is the Clueless Barbie dolls. Yeah, I just remember those being so, like, they're pretty, they're cute dolls, but $60 for those when Bratz, I think, was doing like $70 and giving you 2 outfits with actual fabric accessories and everything, and then like the Barbie had like a plastic fluffy backpack. It just kind of was like my whole thesis about Mattel as a corporation kind of coming together. And it's crazy because those Clueless dolls, everybody was talking about them. I thought for sure they were gonna sell out, and you can still find them at like Walmart's and Target, or not Walmart, Barnes and Noble and Targets, I believe, on the shelves, not sold, clearancing out. So yeah, I can see why the Clueless dolls are on this list. The face sculpt and everything for Cher was just very like, okay, and number 5 is the Winx Club dolls, which they're under $20 and they're half articulated, I've noticed, but they're cutesy. I don't know. They're very much $18 dolls though when you look at their clothing and their accessories and their faces and their hair. But yeah, they don't have that like that cunty factor that I think Winx Club, the characters have. And honestly, I don't know why Winx is allergic to money, but what they should do is do like, I don't know how long it's been, like a 20th anniversary redo of the Mattel Winx dolls where they had like the weird little fingers and like the bendy arms. Those would sell like crazy because they sell for so much on eBay. So if you reintroduce like a 1-to-1 ratio reproduction of those dolls into the market, not only to take down third-party sellers a lot, but also just so like people could get those dolls again, I think they'd sell really well. And then I think it would help Winx kind of like center themselves again, because I feel like Winx has been jumping around getting dolls for like the past however like 60 reboots. And so I do just feel like Winx would really benefit from looking really good again as dolls. Number 4 was just like a bunch of different Monster High Skulllector dolls. The Edward Scissorhands Skulllector doll definitely showed up the most. A lot of people weren't really feeling it, which I don't even remember that releasing, so I can't even tell you what people were saying at the time of release. I know it was recent, but I was not paying attention. The Lost Boys Us Collector doll came up a couple times, and then the Us dolls. And then I know that they re-released the Grady twins, which people were super happy about, but I feel like there was something that went on with all that. I don't pay a ton of attention to Monster High Collectors. I tried to get the Elvira, the very first one, missed out, and I was like, okay, that's fine. So you guys let me know why a lot of people were like Monster High Collectors, which that's another thing that I want to talk to you guys about, and it's my own fault because when I post to vote for these dolls, I don't make it clear. You need specifics when I'm doing this list. When I'm like, what was the worst thing, like the worst dolls of 2025? You can't just be like Barbie. Be specific. You need to specify, because then I come in here with a lot of guesswork and I'm like, yeah, but why? Which is how we end up with stuff like the Holiday Bratz doll with me liking it, and then enough people being like, nah, fuck that shit. All right, so before we do the top 3 of 2025, we are going to do some honorable mentions, because these were also there. They just weren't enough votes to really get on the list, and then sometimes I put my own biases in here as well. Similar to like budget and Playline dolls, a lot of people every single year are like the holiday Barbies, which I agree. The holiday Barbies suck now. The only thing that saves them is their faces. I think they have a lot of good faces that they use in a way to get collectors to buy them. But yeah, they keep going up in price every year. It'll be like $45, $48, $50, and they're Playline dolls. For all intents and purposes, they have 5 points of articulation, shitty paper thin dresses, and a decent face. That's a Playline doll. Just because you're charging $50 for it doesn't mean it's a collector doll. Yeah, they come with stands. I don't know if you've ever tried to use a Barbie holiday stand. Hollowed out nonsense. Another honorable mention is the K-pop Demon Hunter dolls. Obviously, they had no idea that the K-pop Demon Hunters movie was gonna do that well. So now they're scrambling to get merchandise made. And the K-pop Demon Hunter dolls were a 3-pack for $150, so you have to buy all of them at once. And the AI renders on them, which I think they were digitally assisted renders with some AI attached to them because of how fast they had to get them up. I can tell even from the renders, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be Mattel quality, obviously. Like the faces, I think they're gonna do a decent job on. A lot of people had a problem with Mira's face. I don't know why specifically. Not only these dolls releasing next year not being that good because they're a rush order and Mattel is Mattel, but I could also see them extending the date like they did with those $100 Barbie movie dolls, and just keep pushing out the date farther and farther until people just get really annoyed and quit. Another honorable mention just by me, because I think they are just plastic wasteful nonsense, that is these Disney Princess Jewel Secrets dolls. Obviously hardtop sucks, blah blah blah. Decent faces, but I know they're pixelated to hell. I will say the artwork on these I love the artwork on them. To me, they're trash dolls. Like, even if you do give it to a kid as a gimmick, you may be creating a moment for them, but the lasting power on these dolls, those are going to be, if not in landfills next year, they're going to be at the thrift stores next year. And then this is another one I just wanted to throw in because I think she is so silly. And that is the 80th anniversary Enchanted Evening Barbie. I just, like, the fuck? Like, what were we doing? Like, we're celebrating 80 years of Mattel with an iconic Barbie silhouette and trying to do a modern spin on it, and we just shit that out. Like, that thin little strip of fabric on the front, and then just... like, if she was like a $10 doll, sure. Sure. All right, now we are going to do the top 3 worst dolls of 2025. And starting off is number 3 with the Alan live action Barbie movie doll. One, not a good screening, obviously. the Michael Cera, he just looks scary. I know some people were doing mental gymnastics to buy him and everything. It's also that thing where it's like the Barbie movie's been out for so long that, and we're still getting like new dolls and everything, and it's just kind of like, all right, like it had its moment. Like obviously getting likeness rights and everything, maybe that took longer. It seems like the male characters from this movie took a little longer to give their rights. That's why we got like a Ryan Gosling face later instead of just like a standard Ken face. So yeah, it's just kind of like, okay, and then he just looks crazy. And then when they put him in the box, they put him in his pink little jumpsuit outfit instead of his like classic Alan outfit. So for in-box collectors, that's just like a weird thing. I'm an out-of-box collector, obviously, so it wouldn't have mattered to me. I could have just put him in his beach outfit. But yeah, just weird timing. And then obviously he's a victim of the slightly adjusted up price points of Mattel, where they're slowly getting us acclimated, where they'll be like, oh, that doll that would have been a $50 doll last year, well, now it's a $52 doll, and then a $53 doll, and then a $55 doll. And so he's just kind of like an example of that, and Mattel just being Mattel. And it's swell. Okay, the number 2 worst dolls of 2025, which I think is funny because I actually kind of liked them. That's the Once Upon a Whimsy Disney Princess dolls. I don't think they fully sold out, or if they did, they like came back in stock or something. Hey, you know, a big swing and kind of a miss. I think the Tiana was pretty in this. I love the Belle's face in this, and Ariel. Sure, honey, why not? So yes, I do think they are a little silly, but you know, it's whimsy. I don't know. Yeah, I get it. Obviously, a lot of you had a problem with them because you kept bringing them up, and I get it. But the people have spoken. And then the number 1 worst dolls of 2025, as voted by you guys, are the Hello Kitty X Bratz collaboration, and there's a lot of different reasons. There's no elephant in the room here. We can talk about it. The fact that we had to make such a huge stink about them to include Sasha, and then they gave us that lame little excuse where it's, I can't even remember what they said, why they didn't include Sasha in the first place. And then they were like, oh, you know, like Hello Kitty picked out their 3 favorite characters, even though Sasha's part of like the core 4 Bratz dolls, and it shouldn't have even been a thought. And then they take Yasmin and they give her like blue eyes and everything, and it's just weird. They kind of showed up at like Target on shelves and everything, and I don't know, they just like, even the clothes seemed like a little weird. I don't know, they're like a cute concept. Hello Kitty is like a really big IP, but this is like the one that you guys mentioned the absolute most. And there are like aesthetics to this that I get, but there was a lot of shit behind these dolls that I also get. But yeah, I didn't buy a single one. There was no way I was gonna. The fact that like Sasha was such an afterthought, and they're like, no, we're gonna make her later. Like she'll show up later. And it's just like, it's just gross. And MGA knows better at this point. I get it. I get why they're number 1, and I get why you guys feel that way. All right, guys, that was it. That was the worst dolls of 2025 as voted by you guys. Thank you for helping me sit in a room and talk into my phone, and be negative for however long this video ends up being after I edit it. Obviously, I will see you guys in the next video where we take a look at the best dolls of 2025, because I always like to end the year on a positive note and transition into the next year on a positive note. So I will see you in the next video where we do our favorites of 2025. And yeah, that's it. Bye. I would love to be in the like room when people at Sony realized that K-pop Demon Hunters was as big as it was, and them just panicking and being like, we have no merch. We didn't invest in like a clearly good movie with good animation and a good concept and good songs and everything. Like imagine spending all that time making a movie and then just being like, well, have fun out there, flop, and then realizing it's one of the biggest movies of the year. Insane.